With the 6th anniversary currently underway and the new units being very dominant in PvP, how much has the meta changed with these monstrous releases? Well, let's find out by compiling a list of the top 10 best units in the game. But before that, let's throw out some honorable mentions. Now, just a quick thing to point out with these honorable mentions, the number 10 and 9 spot on the list could be interchanged with these honorable mentions because it was pretty difficult for me to actually pick out 2 units to actually put into the top 10 and then leave these guys out into the honorable mentions. So you can easily swap between these units and the units that are in the 9 and 10 spot. But for me personally, I left these guys in the honorable mention. But if you feel like they deserve a spot on the top 10, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So who I have on this list is both the Brolys, the new one, and the newly Zenkai Awakened LF Broly, Beast Gohan, and Revival Super Gogeta. So with that out of the way, let's hop into the number 10 spot. Coming in at number 10, we have Universal Spirit Bomb Kid Goku. Now, this guy is probably one of the more tankier units, not necessarily tanky, but he's decently tanky and he can still produce some really good damage. He's kind of like the Saiyan Saga Zenkai Goku, who's also a very good option, by the way. He can also make it into the honorables mention, but he's kind of like that, but he has endurance, he has a nuking ultimate, he has a really good unique gauge and he heals a lot, which is very essential right now. And of course, the biggest reason why he's even on this list is because he could cancel buff effects from ultimates, rising rushes, all that stuff, and we already know that's very useful against units like specifically Vegito with his unguessable rising rush, right? He does get the endurance nullification on his rush, but it is cancelable, and this Goku could cancel that, which makes his endurance very, very solid. And then his team options are just really good. Sun Family, Saiyans, pretty much the best teams in the game right now, alongside like movies. So he's a very good unit to run alongside the fusions, or if you're just running one of the fusions, or if you're just running the regular Sun Family units, you know, Gohan, UI Goku. He's just a really great all-around third option to use, so that's why we're going to have him at the number 10 spot. Moving into number 9, we have a unit that's pretty much similar to the Universal Spirit Bomb Goku in terms of their role, and that's going to be Goku and Bardock. Now, Goku and Bardock, you know, released back in Legends Festival, was part of the very, very, very annoying Saiyans meta with UI Goku and Rival Pikkon. And that Indestructible meta is just very, very useful. And with the anniversary starting with these units, it's become even more crucial against, once again, Vegito and his unguessable rush. You have this guy, he can eat the rush and completely be fine because of the Indestructible. He has a card disruption. He can still produce some pretty decent damage. He has the AoE green card, which is always going to be useful. Keep in mind that Gogeta Blue does nullify that AoE green card. I believe it's 3 times. I could be wrong on that. But he is able to nullify that AoE green card. But against any other unit, it's still very good. Blue unit is going to be good. And then he also switches into green, which will be effective against Vegito. You can notice a lot of these units' placement is also dependent on Vegito, right? Because Vegito is a very dominant unit right now, so a lot of these placements are with his placement in mind, or his meta relevance in mind, right? So Goku and Bardock and Universal Spirit Bomb Goku are the 2 units that I mentioned that could be swapped around with any of the honorable mentions. It was really tough for me to actually find which units I want to place in this 9 to 10 spot, which is why I want to mention that, you know, the Broly is very good, LF Zenkai Broly is also very good, Beast Gohan can still do some stuff, especially with his movie team being pretty strong right now, being one of the best teams in the game. Revival Super Gogeta can work really well alongside the fusions, but I decided to go with these 2, so it doesn't really matter which order you have any of these 5 or 6 units that I mentioned, but this is going to be my 9 and 10 spot. So let's move on to number 8. Now for this number 8 spot, I want to get rid of this guy out of the top 10, not gonna lie, but you know, that would be a bit biased, so I'm gonna give him the 8th spot, but it's going to be Super 17. Now, for quite a while, maybe not a while, maybe for like the last month or so, or last month prior to the anniversary, I did think that this guy was slowly starting to age. Maybe not age, but slowly start to fall off from his, I guess, meta dominance. And with the anniversary units, I think it's become even more apparent that this guy is slowly falling off. Even with the release of a very strong yellow unit, you practically don't see... I mean, you will still see Super 17 here and there, but he's not going to be outputting the same level of dominance as he used to when he was on release, right? Even prior to this anniversary, I was skeptical on whether this guy was even top 5, but with this anniversary release, I'm convinced that he is not top 5 anymore. Some may think that's a, I guess, controversial take, but I personally don't think he deserves to be in the top 5 spot. He's more closer to the bottom 10 in my opinion. He still does really good damage, don't get me wrong, but Other than that, it's pretty much it. He's gonna combo for a while, but with a lot of units like, Vegito being a blue unit, and he has Disrupt, a lot of these other units, blue units are becoming a lot more prevalent right now. And then he's practically the only meta relevant red unit, so I do think it's time to slowly bring him down. And it's crazy because there's a lot of yellow units right now, but even with that, the Super 17 is just, he's not scaring anyone. I'm not gonna lie, he's not scaring anyone. So I'm gonna have him at the number 8 spot. You could potentially argue him up to like maybe 6 or 7, maybe, probably not 6, probably 7. You can swap him around, but for me, 8 is a good spot there. And even when you consider his teams, he's not really ran alongside the best teams right now. Like, you could run Gohan and Golden Frieza with him, but not many people run that team anymore. It's really like Gohan leader slot on Fusion Warriors, or like Frieza leader slot on Fusion Warriors, or like movies, teams like that. And then Super 17, he's still a strong unit, but he's just not going to be used on those team setups, right? So that's why I have him at number 8. I might have to do a revisit on him to see if he truly does deserve to fall off, or if he's overrated, or whatever the case may be. But for now, we're going to have him at number 8. Moving on to number 7. This is a unit I said you could replace potentially with Super 17, but I'll have him above. And it's going to be Revival Nappa. Now, believe it or not, Revival, I don't even think I've seen a Revival Nappa ever since the anniversary began. I could be wrong on that. Don't really remember, but he still works pretty well. Obviously, he's a purple unit right now, and Gogeta's running around, so that could be a problem. But he has a Revival. Revival is still very, very powerful, and especially now, Revival, Indestructible, and of course Comeback, they've all gained even more value with the release of Vegito because of his unguessable rush. So him having this Revival is just gonna be a plus side no matter what. And then when you revive into Vegeta, he's able to go type neutral with the gauge, so that can help him out against yellow units such as Gogeta, Ultra UI, and those units. And he's a Saiyan, right? He's going to be ran alongside the best units in the game. The 2 units that we got for the anniversary are Saiyan units, Ultra UI. You can leader slot him on Sun Family if you really wanted to. So he is going to have that diversity in team options, especially also being a powerful opponent. You can run him with Super 17 if you wanted to, but just having that Revival innately is going to give him a lot of value, and that's why we're going to have him at the number 7th spot. Prior to the anniversary, I'd say he would probably was in like the top 5. So with the release of these two strong anniversary units, it makes sense that he dropped down 2 spots, pretty much, right? So he's going to be at number 7. Let's move on to number 6. Now, for the number 6th and 5th spot, you could argue potentially flipping them around, but I'll have them in this order because I'm more comfortable with this order here. And for number 6, we're going to have LF Super Baby 2. Now, I don't know if people still like to downplay this guy, but he is very, very good. His gauge, I'm pretty sure you've seen it if you watch my videos, and anytime I go up against this guy, it's always annoying because his gauge just keeps popping and popping, disrupts your combo, removes your vanish, and then he has a blue card ready to shoot at you. It's just so damn annoying, and it's so useful. It's really useful for these units that can combo for a long time, right? So he's a very good option, and he's a Saiyan. And he's a powerful opponent. He has good team options, right? I feel like Baby could be argued over Ultra UI. Simply, the only reason is because Gogeta exists and he has the Assault Chain, right? So that kind of lowers Ultra UI's viability, I guess. But I think Ultra UI, we'll talk a bit more about Ultra UI later once we get to him. But Baby, like I said, he's not a unit that you should downplay. I know a lot of people haven't summoned for him, so you might not see him that often in PvP, which is why I think maybe he gets downplayed a bit. But that's also one of the reasons why I would have Ultra UI above him, because you do see Ultra UI a lot more than Baby, right? But at the very least, do not downplay this guy because he's crazy. And of course, for number 5, we have Ultra UI, like I mentioned. Ultra UI Goku still having one of the most broken abilities in the game with that lock-in into the ultimate, or you can even lock it into the rush. I say this every time I talk about us locking in these discussion videos, but it's so damn powerful, man. It's so damn powerful. He has the healing whenever you use the ultimate or the rush, the removal of vanish. He has arts power reduction, like all this stuff. The green card healing. He does a lot. He has the unique gauge, which is even if Gogeta has that assault chain, right? That's just one unit. His gauge still works on 99.9% of the rest of the game, right? So it doesn't really. It slightly, I guess, affects his value, I guess, but it's really not that big of a deal but he's once again ran alongside the best units. You can go double yellow with Vegito and go Gogeta with alongside his Ultra UI, since like I mentioned, there isn't really that many red units running around. So that could be a pretty good option. Or you could just go, Sun Family with Vegito on the leader slot. I mean, he doesn't really need to be Vegito on the leader slot because he is also a Sun Family member. So there's that. His team options, Saiyans, it's just, he is really good. He's really good. I don't think there's much for me to say about him. Like, we've already been experiencing this guy for 6 months at this point, 6 or 5 months, and we understand that this guy is crazy. He was going to be a problem ever since his release, and he still is a problem, even with all these really, really powerful units being present in the meta right now. So he's going to be at our number 5 spot. Now let's move into the top 4. Now, I do think the top 4 has like a slight gap from the rest of the tier list. Like, there's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, and then like a slightly bigger gap, and then we have the 4, 3, 2, 1, right? And I do think the top 4 are pretty damn close to each other. There's not like one unit that's completely dominating over everyone. All 4 of these units are very, very good, and they can all potentially have an argument for being number 1. That's how close they are. Regardless of whether you agree with my order or not, it doesn't really matter, but this is going to be my order, so don't cook me too hard. But number 4, we have Ultra Golden Frieza. Golden Frieza, I would argue, was the best unit before the anniversary, and now you could, like I said, you could still argue he's the best unit, but I have him at number 4, simply because I do think his comeback mechanic is broken. It's actually such a stupid mechanic. Imagine just killing a unit, you thought he was dead, but no, he comes back and he deals damage to you, and it's not just normal damage. He does a stupid amount of damage on the comeback. It's actually ridiculous. That comeback is probably still is it the most broken mechanic in the game? I think it would be. It's just ridiculous, man. I don't get why they felt the need to make this mechanic, but they did, and it is what it is. So there's that, right? But I do think, so it has gained a bit more value as well, like I said, because of Vegito's unguessable Rising Rush. But I also think on the flip side, it kind of got a reduced amount of value, or it kind of became, I don't know, I wouldn't say it reduced the amount of value, but it's kind of in check with these units, because you would want to pop his let me explain this. You would want to pop his comeback with Vegeta or Gogeta pre-fusion, right? So like in the tag Goku and Vegeta, you just take all that damage whatsoever, and then boom, you just fuse and you completely heal it. So that's like a pretty good strategy just to, when you face Golden Frieza, you're going to be using Vegito, Gogeta. That's pretty much everyone running these guys. You're probably going to have them, right? So you would always, every single time want to pop the comeback with Vegito or Gogeta pre-fusion. Just eat up all that damage and then fuse. There you go. So once let's say you're using Vegito pre-fusion, you have Goku and Vegeta, you eat the comeback, transform it to Vegito, and now you don't even have to worry about anyone eating the rush anymore, because you can kill Frieza, you can kill Gohan, you can kill whatever the case may be. So very easy, very, like, it's just so easy it's such an easy work around that comeback mechanic. But that's only if you're using Vegito or Gogeta, right? Because they're the one that can get the 100% heal back. Obviously, this could apply to like another Golden Frieza or like any of the revival unit as well, but it's become even more apparent with like Vegito and Gogeta, right? So that's one thing. But other than that, this guy, is there really anything much to say about this guy? Non-stop green cards, non-stop vanish restoration, crazy damage, blue cards a nuke, AoE damage on the ultimate. He's still crazy. He's still crazy. And even with the release of these 2 strong units, he's still in contention to be one of if not the best unit in the game. Like, that's how crazy this guy was, and it's still the case even after part 1. I would say he's on some of the best teams in the game. Movies, like I said, movies with Gogeta. You can run Beast Gohan if you want. You can run Revival Pikkon if you want. Double rush support, rush control there. And he's going to dish out a lot of damage too. There is a couple of strong yellow units right now, which is why he's a bit lower on the top 4, like Gogeta, Ultra UI baby. So there's that. But regardless, this Golden Frieza is still a menace. So do not, I mean, I don't think anyone would downplay this guy for sure. But like I said in the beginning, he has an argument for number 4, but for number 1. But for me, he's going to be at number 4. Next, we move on to number 3. And this, I think many people are just going to call me biased. He's going to call me stupid or whatever the case may be. Hey, it's just my opinion. If you want to disagree, feel free, go ahead. But for me, I have Gogeta Blue at number 3. I can already tell people are going to call me Vegito Glazers, and it's true, I'm a Vegito Glazer, but for real, like, this is me trying to be unbiased as possible. I think Gogeta is at number 3 here. I feel like a lot of people overrate the Assault Chain. Don't get me wrong, it's really good, really powerful to bypass, Gohan's Ultra UIs, counter gauge, even Janemba if you face him, even Gogeta Blue, if you the Ultra Gogeta Blue if you face him. It's really strong, right? I mean, in the case of Gogeta Blue, it's a blast counter, so it doesn't really matter, but I guess it does matter because he switches his Blaster Strike. Whatever the case may be. Any auto counter gauges, right? It's very good. But outside of that, let's say you're not facing one of those units, which is going to be like 99% of your match, right? You're not only going to be fighting Gohan. Even if you're fighting Gohan, there's still 2 other members on the team, right? So let's say you got rid of Gohan, you're still going to be fighting 2 other units, right? Once you get to that point, his Assault Chain is just basically a little burst of damage. You would optimally want to just use like Charge Step or Side Step to prolong your combo as long as possible, and you can't really do that because you don't get cover null outside of the Assault Chain. So yeah, it can go through Gohan and Ultra UI's gauge or counter, but it's just going to be doing some burst damage. Most of the time, you're not going to be killing Gohan and Gogeta, or Gohan and Ultra UI with just that little burst damage of Assault Chain. You could obviously do some really good damage and then maybe go for the blue card, I guess, but then it's going to get procced by the gauge. But I just feel like some people are just like, oh my god, Assault Chain goes through the unique gauge, it's over, he's the best unit in the game, he dethroned Gohan, it's unusable now, Ultra UI they're unusable. No, that's not the case. He's still very good, don't get me wrong. Like, he's a number 3, top 3 best units in the game. Like, that is not I don't think that's a downplay to him, but I do think the Assault Chain is, although very good, it's not as broken as many people like to make it out to be. So we're gonna have him at number 3. I do think also, like, pre-fusion, compared to Vegito, at least, I think pre-fusion Vegito is better, simply because it's a lot easier to fuse with Vegito, pre-fusion, like I said, and then pre-fusion, once again, Gogeta doesn't have, or I guess Goku and Vegeta, they don't have type neutral at all, which could be a problem, especially if we get a lot more stronger red units. But all this to say, his value can skyrocket a lot more if we even get some more auto dodge, auto counter unique gauge, right? Let's say for part 2 or part 3 we get like another fucking blast strike cover change or whatever, his value is gonna rise. But for now, I'm pretty comfortable in saying he's at number 3 for me. You can attack me all you want, you can call me Vegito bias, whatever, all that crazy stuff. I don't care. You can say that, but I do think at the number 3 spot is a pretty good spot for him to be at. Next, we move on to number 2, and it's going to be Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. Just because Gogeta Blue released does not mean Gohan is is not stupid. Gohan, even now, I would argue, has probably the best kit in the game. Last man standing, Gohan is the number 1 unit in the game. Like, nothing's coming close to that. This guy, we were afraid of Ultra Gohan, and rightfully so. They gave him everything for no reason, and he's ridiculous. He's ridiculous. Even if you, like, I don't know why they thought it was a good idea to. Most of these units have like one gimmick or something, right? One thing that kind of stands out from the rest. But this bastard has 3. For what reason? He has 3, and he has like an AoE green card. Like, what the fuck? I don't get it. Auto dodge strike clashes, or auto dodge melee based attacks. Blue card counter. What's his other thing? He has one other thing. What was it? Oh yeah, the armor piercing blast card. This shit is so stupid. Now I'm glad that they actually gave Gogeta's blue card. It's not really armor, it's just that it nullifies blast cards. Kind of like Ultra Kaioken Goku's ultimate. So that way the armor piercing blast cards are not going to affect him. But regardless, he still has blast armor, so those blast cards can still hurt him, right? And he shares it with the rest of the team, man. Like, what the fuck? Why? I don't get it. But I mean, we've seen what Gohan can do. I don't think the Assault Chain was like, oh, the final nail in the coffin or something for his Gohan. I still think he's ridiculous. So I'm gonna have him at number 2. You see this guy being leader slaughtered everywhere. He has the potential to outage maybe the anniversary units. We'll have to see how they handle the releases moving forward. But obviously Gogeta is a right step. It's a good step in the right direction for countering Gohan because, of the Assault Chain. But we need some more just to actually put this guy to rest because, no, we cannot have this guy running around PvP. It is not funny. It is not funny. He's He's stupid. He's stupid, okay? So we have Gohan at number 2, which means that at the number 1 spot, I'm pretty sure people are still going to call me Vegito Glazers. I don't care. Vegito is at the number 1 spot. Vegito is really, really good. And like I keep mentioning before I went to the top 4, all these 4 units are very close to each other. Vegito is not gapping the game. No, he's not. He's very close to Gohan, Gogeta, Ultra Golden Frieza. Maybe, I don't think Ultra UI, but I think those 3, like, they're just crazy together. Vegito, he's crazy. Pre-fusion, he gets his fusion practically in one combo. It's crazy. The 100% tag switch, the 100% filling up the tag switch by 100% per green card per side is just so crazy. You start a combo, you don't even need to use the green card first. You start a combo, 3 cards in, you're able to tag switch out. Use the green card, you're able to tag switch out. Use another green card, you're able to tag switch out. And then fusion, boom, rising rush, kill one guy, he's out of there, right? The rising rush unguess is just so dumb. Now, I've seen a lot of people say it's like toxic and all that stuff. While I do agree it's somewhat toxic, I guess, I think it's good because at least this way, you don't have to let it up to RNG to decide it, right? One of the biggest things I hated was the fact that Rising Rush was RNG based, right? You can guess it and it can determine the outcome of the match, or it goes through and still determine the outcome of the match. This way, it's guaranteed hit. It's a guaranteed hit. There's a reason why whenever you see, like, I guess people play PvP, like friend matches or whatever case, and they actually allow Rising Rush, most of the time, you would make it so it's a guaranteed rush. Obviously, there's most fights outside of regular PvP, you would want to like have a no rush game. But if you were to somehow include the rush, you would want to make it a guaranteed hit, right? And the reason you would include the rush is for matches not to go to timer or whatever the case may be, right? But if you were to allow the rush, you would make it so it goes to 100% of the time. So that way both people could have access to this, right? Now, obviously, this ability only being to Vegito is, you know, kind of unfair, I guess. But it is a good thing because I don't want to let things up to RNG. And if there's ways to reduce RNG as much as possible, I think it's a good thing. Maybe I might be seeing it differently, but that's what I think about the Rising Rush defeat nullification. After fusion, this guy gets just insane amounts of damage buffs. He has also the anti-revive passive, like a mini version of the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, where instead of 4 Dragon Balls, it's 2 Dragon Balls. So even if you were to rush and the opponent switches over to a revival unit, you still get something out of it, right? You still get the 50% damage inflicted, and you get those 2 Dragon Balls. He's already getting like crazy amount of numbers in terms of damage inflicted, and then you get that 50%. It's crazy. He has neutral. He has a pretty good way to get neutrality. First of all, after fusion, I think if you pop the gauge pre-fusion or once you pop it after fusion, he gets neutral for damage sustained unlimited, like forever until the match ends, which is ridiculous. And then for offensive neutrality, whenever the opponent switches, he gets it for 3 timer counts. And I think that's really, really good. Because let's say you're comboing someone and they're like, oh shit, I'm taking a lot of damage. Let me switch over to my green unit. Well, the green unit is still going to be taking a lot of damage for 3 timer counts. And for those 3 timer counts, you can launch a blue card with Vegito, one-shot him. You can launch a rush, kill him. You could do anything in that case. It's really powerful on Switch because most of the time you're going to see it happen because people are trying to save their current unit and they want to swap over to the green unit for type disadvantage, but they're going to take type neutral damage for 3 timer counts. It's really good, and that also applies pre-fusion as well. So that is a very good mechanic to have. It's something that pre-fusing Gogeta does not have, which is a sort of a downside, but it's something, right? His blue card does a lot of damage. He's really, really good. I do think him being a number 1 right now I think makes sense. Like I said, you can argue any of these guys in number 4. We'll have to see what units drop after, but in terms of that Rising Rush defeat nullification, that's like an ageless mechanic, right? It's up there with like Golden Frieza's comeback, Ultra UI's unique gauge, lock-in gauge, Gohan's unique gauge, counter blue card. Like those are the type of mechanics that will forever be broken or forever be just good regardless, right? And he has it. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. So Vegito is at number 1. Then we have Gohan, Gogeta, Golden Frieza, Ultra UI, Baby, Revival Nappa, Super 17, Goku and Bardock, and Universal Spirit Bomb Goku. So definitely let me know in the comments what you guys think of this list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What's your top 10 looking like? Who do you think is the best unit in the game? Let me know all that in the comments below. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe, guys. It's so important, so don't forget. Have a great day. See ya.